Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this special figure showcase and combining video we're going to be looking at the very elusive 1992 Japanese exclusive figure Guard City. So what we're going to do with this video, we're going to open up the contents, have a look at the entire contents of the packaging, have a look at the flyers and instructions, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build them up from the individual bots to the fully combined form. I'm going to be doing another video on this which will be a full review and comparison, but what I am going to do is just, I suppose, give you guys a bit of history on this guy if you've never seen him before. So for those of you who are unaware or unfamiliar with the Japanese continuity of figures, as you can see, he definitely is just a redeco of Defensor. As I say, this was obviously released in 1986. This was 1992, which is the very, very tail end, obviously, of the Transformers Generation 1 continuity. I know that Hasbro in the US had pretty much stopped at least a couple of years before, but obviously in Japan, they had Victory in 89, Zone in 1990, Return of Convoy in 1991, and Operation Combination in 1992. Now, Operation Combination was a lot of the figures that you'll have seen released later on, like here. So you can see this is 6 Wing and 6 Builder, and I think that's 6 Train. But these were then later used, I think, on the Cybertron toy line, for example. They were released in individual little boxes like this, but they were previously released about a decade before in Japan. Now, it wasn't just the later figures, they actually started doing it from very early on. So in 1987, during the Headmasters, they redecoed Inferno, and that gave us Artfire. And then just a year or so later, they redecoed Nightbeat, and they gave us Minerva. So this is something that they did quite a lot, and indeed, I suppose, what makes these quite interesting and indeed quite elusive. Right, hope that helped, because a lot of people, including people who collected Transformers years and years and years ago, were mistaken by these and perhaps thought that this could in fact have been a KO of the figure. Right, so what we've got here is TF04 on the top. Now, ironically enough, with this being one of the very, very last runs, it doesn't even have, you know, the C for Cybertrons, etc. on, but this is definitely an Autobot gift set. Right, so let's have a look on the side. There's the combined form, there's the individual bots. I'm going to give you their names in a second. They're not very inventive names, to be honest, but they are quite interesting. We've just seen the combined form there, and we can see how, again, he's built up. And the fact, I love this, I love the fact they show you this. So you can see here the many combination modes of this particular figure. Now, in Japan, they also had a cartoon in 1986 known as Scramble City, which basically involved the first 4 combiners, which was, of course, Defensor, Superior, Menasor and Bruticus. They also included Abominus and Computron, and they really went to town with the Operation Combination, basically meaning that either one of the limbs could be either leg or either arm. I just want to show you a couple of other things quickly on here. I've just remembered the tech spec will be at the bottom. And then what they also did, which I thought was brilliant, they actually put the robot points on the inside of the flaps, so you didn't have to cut up the box. Right, let's have a look at them though. So I think only three of these are different to the original Defensor. Now, this is completely new to me. I've had a very, very brief look at it, and I'm hoping that it's been built up and it's not going to be too difficult. Whilst I balance that box there, I've noticed we've got some instructions, and indeed we've also got we've got an Operation Combination toy leaflet. So there are the Dinobots available to reorder. This is that lovely diorama of that picture I just showed you. So again, you'll recognise most of these. That's 6 Turbo. I think they used him again as a Defensor in Cybertron. 6 Builder was the Constructicons. 6 Wing, of course, was Superior, and 6 Train was Rail Spike. I think it was Rail Racer, not too sure. But anyway, that's most of the toy line. The remainder of the toy line is again what were known as European exclusives, the Predators and the Turbo Masters, Australasian as well, and they came in twin packs like so. And then funnily enough, there we have Guard City, but the only figure that's missing from this is Battle Gaia, and that was the redeco of Bruticus that was, of course, the Decepticon nemesis of who we see in front of us. Right, so let's very careful. In fact, let's just take all the bots out first and foremost, and then I'm going to give you all their names. So it looks like it's pretty much packaged as exactly the same as Defensor was. Or I don't even know if that's been pulled out actually. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to try and do it all in one take as well. And as I said, I'm going to do a full review in the future. I've just had so many questions since I posted this on my Instagram. And people just want to see it built, to be honest. So that's what I'm going to do. All the individual weapons you can see are there. And let's see if that holds. And let's just bring this down a touch. Okay, right, let's start off with then. So it's probably easier to start off with the legs because they're much easier. Now the legs on the picture, we've got who we would know as Groove and First Aid at the bottom. Now Groove was known as Spark Ride. And there we go. No real difference there at all. Lovely shiny chrome. Let's turn this around. What was that? Just a bit of polystyrene, that's okay. Let's put the head up like so, and that is ready for the foot, isn't it? Then we're going to go with Safety. Legitimately, that is what he is now known as, Safety, and you can see he is different. He is orange on the underside, and for those of you wondering, these are all plastic. For those of you wondering what now I'm referring to, the first edition of the Protector bots, some of them had metal chests. So there's one leg. Right, now we're going to go to Fire Chief, who was, of course, Hotspot. And I've got to make sure that we get this right. I'm going to be super careful with this. So let's bring, and you can see here, just he is massively different. Hugely different. So let's slot these out. Very carefully fold this up. So these are going to be his legs. So let's fold this out and carefully like so. Same on this side. Thankfully, I think this has already been combined previously. Sometimes with some of the figures that I do these videos on, my heart is in my mouth, and it's quite a scary process. It really is. This is looking okay though. This must have definitely been transformed at some point because it's feeling relatively easy too. Let's just see if I can lose. There we go. There is Fire Chief's head. Let's bring up. There we go. That's coming on the top. I need to turn this over and sit that there and bring the ladder back. So let's nice and carefully bring this one into place. Oh, this is where I am going to panic. Really am. Right, let's see what I can do. Watch me. I know I shouldn't say it or tempt fate, but at least this guy, if he does break, I think his stickers are different. Actually, I'm not even going to tempt fate. I'm not going to say it. All right, please combine. There we go. Phew. Right, okay, we've got that in. Let's take this next guy, and he's in as well. Right, there we go. Starting to take shape. Let's just clip these in at the side. The reason why I'm doing this in the video is because, if I'm being completely honest as well, this is the only time. Oh no, it's not. I'm going to do another video on it. I was going to say this is the only time I ever intend on combining him, but maybe not. Right, so now we've got Street Star instead of Streetwise, and I think there's just a slightly different paint scheme on it. There's definitely different stickers. Let's bring this out on the side. You can fold this over and back. I would imagine you're supposed to, like so. It doesn't look like it on the picture though. No, it's not at all. On the picture, it looks like it's just... I've never seen one of these in hand either, so I'm literally just going to copy the picture on the box. So it looks like they separate ever so slightly. That is polystyrene in there. Let's pop this in carefully there. And then we're going to take the most original name now, obviously known as Blades beforehand. Oh no, that's plastic. I thought that was just a bit of polystyrene. His new name is Fly Up. Great name. And again, it looks like, oh no, they've just extended this at the arms for him. Let's see if I can bring the head out ever so carefully and then attach that in there. Oh, I forgot to do that, didn't I? Right, I'm going to bring these around like so. And now it's just a case of attaching all of the kibbles. So, right, let's get the feet. He does look completely original though, doesn't it? You can see why maybe as well that people might have thought that this was indeed a KO figure if they'd have seen it in the early 90s. And there's a few stories that I've heard from people who did exactly that. They, like I said in the unboxing, they've got these, I suppose they're quite horrible stories, aren't they, really, where they saw these, thought they were KOs, completely left them, didn't think anything of them, and then obviously a few years later, like now and etc., we see them again, and then we realise that what they were incredibly rare last release figures. And I suppose this is quite common in most toys. I briefly collected Star Wars figures, and anybody who collects Star Wars figures will know that the last 17, as they're called, the Power of the Force figures, they're all the most expensive ones. And this, I suppose, is something very similar to them, because it was one of the last figures ever made. It didn't actually sell too well. It was just, again, just clinging on to the brand, trying to keep them alive. Pretty much what they did in Europe as well, you know, just made a few figures, tried, as I say, exactly that, to keep the brand alive. And by doing so, they created figures, and again, just, yeah, made use of the molds they already had, but they didn't sell too well. I think that's probably about it. I'm just going to put the guns in his, no, I'm not, I can't get the guns out. Oh yes, I can. I'm trying my best to get the guns out without damaging the polystyrene, but as I say, this is going to come to an end because I've done the main purpose of this video, and that is, of course, to combine him. So let's bring this up and let's look down on him. I think it'll look a bit better that way, to be honest. Let's have a look. Boom. And yeah, apologies for the mess in the background. I'm in the space. I'm currently moving bedrooms to be able to create a much more of a better setup. But in the meantime, this is the main differences between Guard City, and there we go. You can see, obviously, again, that the limbs are different. They've mixed up a few of them. I'm just going to pick this up, and one final time, just thank everybody for watching, all the kind words and nice comments, obviously, with me getting this figure. It's been a great pleasure to share it with you. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please take care.